Hello everybody, welcome back to another What I Eat in a Day. So I started this day with an acai bowl for breakfast, and for this I blend up 1 frozen chopped banana with 8 frozen strawberries, and as it's blending up I add in about 1/3 of a mug of water just to make it a little bit smoother, and then I add in my acai powder. I can never get over how amazing this colour is. Now mine says to use a teaspoon, but check the back of your packaging for instructions. And then I just filled up my bowl with that, smoothed it over and added my toppings, and you can add whichever toppings you like. I started with a sliced banana down the middle. I then covered 1/2 with some of my homemade granola. I'll link to my recipe in the description. Then I used some chopped strawberries and made a pattern with some shredded coconut, some chia seeds, some blitzed almonds and some cacao nibs. And then to add a little bit of colour, I went in with some fresh mini mint leaves, and this made it taste amazing. I love these breakfasts for when the weather gets a little bit warmer. It's just so refreshing, but it's really filling as well, and there's so many textures too. So for a snack I made some strawberry jam crumble slices. For this I just mixed up 2 mugs of oat flour, a mug of oats, 3 tablespoons of almond butter, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, a splash of oat or almond milk. Mine was already sweetened, but I would suggest adding in 3 tablespoons of maple syrup or agave nectar here, and then 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and I mixed all of that together. I then took a cheesecake tin which I greased with a little bit of coconut oil. I added in the mix, but I reserved around 1/2 mug of it for the topping. I patted it all down evenly, and then I popped that in the oven on 180 degrees Celsius for around 20 minutes whilst I made my jam. For this I added 2 mugs of hulled strawberries to a medium saucepan on a low heat. I then added in 2 tablespoons of coconut sugar and 2 tablespoons of water. After around 5 minutes it begins to go slightly mushy, and so I just mashed it up until it was smooth, and then I added in 2 tablespoons of chia seeds and let it simmer for around 15 minutes. It begins to get thicker as the chia soaks up the liquid, and you can just use this as jam on its own. You can leave it to cool, store it in a jar in the fridge, and then use it on toast, on scones, etc. I then removed the base from the oven and poured over my jam. I smoothed it out nice and evenly, and then I crumbled over the rest of the oaty topping, and I also sprinkled over 1/2 mug of blitzed almonds to make it extra crumbly. I then kind of roughed up the topping with a teaspoon so that some of the strawberry came through, and then I sprinkled over another tablespoon of coconut sugar over the top, and then that went back in the oven for around 30 minutes, still on 180 degrees Celsius. When it came out I left it to cool, and then I sliced it up. Mine made 12 squares in total. To be honest, you can't really taste the strawberry, but it makes a change from just plain old apple crumble, and you can pretty much try this with most fruits. Blueberries, pears, raspberries, they'd all be amazing. I like to eat it chilled straight from the fridge, so I keep it in an airtight container, and that can last you for up to 5 days. For lunch I made some falafel Caesar wraps. I started by peeling the leaves off an iceberg lettuce. I used 3. You have to be quite gentle as you're peeling them off, but I also just cut off that thick stem part at the bottom because it's not that great to eat. I then cut up 6 falafels into quarters, again I'll link to my recipe, and arranged those into my lettuce leaves. Then to make the Caesar dressing I blended up a mug of soaked cashews, 1 garlic clove, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and seasoned it with salt and pepper. I blitzed all of that up with around 1/2 mug of water, which just makes it really creamy and more of like a dressing consistency. And so then I drizzled that over my falafels. I used about 2 tablespoons on each wrap, and then I sprinkled over some more nutritional yeast. This replaces what would be the parmesan, and then also some more blitzed almonds, which give it like a crouton crunch. You can then leave them open like taco shells, or you can wrap them up. I wrapped mine up, but I think it might be a little bit easier if you lay out the filling horizontally and then wrap the leaves from the bottom of the stem to the top of the lettuce leaf and just tuck in one of the ends as you're wrapping it. This is by far one of my favourite recipes so far. I don't remember the last time I ate like a real Caesar salad, but from what I can remember, this tastes exactly the same. It is so good. For something in the afternoon, I made these Asian cucumber sandwich snacks. I started by cutting up a cucumber into rings. I later cut these rings in half as they were a little bit too thick. I then chopped up one spring onion, and then I took half an avocado and I sliced that up into little cubes. I then took a handful of fresh mint leaves and chopped those up. I mixed those all together in a bowl, and then I added in a teaspoon of sesame seeds, half a teaspoon of wasabi paste. Now I like this strong, so please add this to taste because this might be too strong for some of you. And also a splash of tamari. I mixed all of that together, and then I took one of the cucumber rings. I popped some of the sandwich mix on top of that, and then I finished with another of the cucumber rings on top, like a little sandwich, and that made 6 altogether. This is a really quick, easy snack, so much flavour, and you can keep these in a container and take them with you to work or as a travel snack on the go. For dinner, I made some spicy lentil cakes with a raw slaw salad. I started by peeling 2 carrots, and then I grated those up, added those to a bowl, and I also like to add onion into my coleslaw. I think it gives it a really great flavour. So I sliced up half a red onion, added that to the bowl as well, and then I shredded up half a green cabbage. I mixed all of that together, and then I added in the rest of my Caesar dressing left over from lunch, seasoned it with a little bit more salt and pepper, and I added a splash more lemon juice. Then to make it extra creamy, I added in half an avocado that I mashed up in the shell beforehand. Again, mixed that really well, and I popped that in the fridge whilst I made the lentil cakes. For this, I took a cup of red lentils, I rinsed those, and then I cooked them for around 15 minutes in a pan of boiling water until they were nice and soft. I diced a medium white onion, added that to the pan. I also chopped up 1 red pepper and added that in too. I thickened it with 2 tablespoons of chickpea flour. This has quite a strong taste. You could use brown rice flour instead. I then added in 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast flakes, a teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of chili flake, a teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of garlic powder. I then seasoned it with salt and pepper and mix that together really well. To a large saucepan, I added a splash of olive oil, and whilst that was heating up, I took a corn on the cob and I wrapped that up in foil, and then I just spread some coconut oil over this and popped it in the oven on 200 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. Then once my pan of oil was hot enough, I shaped 4 cakes from the lentil mix and put them in the pan together. I give them around 8 minutes on each side before flipping them over to cook on the other. Then just made a bed of the coleslaw on our plates, laid the lentil cakes on top of that, and then sprinkled over a little more paprika. I then took my corn on the cob out of the oven and I cut it up into rings. I just find it's a little bit easier to eat this way. And that's that. It's such a great combination, such a tasty, really filling dinner. And these cakes can be frozen and then put straight in the oven to cook when you want them. And then for something afterwards, I made a strawberry crumble sundae. I took one of my strawberry jam slices, crumbled that up into my jar, and then I made some strawberry nice cream like I did for breakfast, just minus the acai powder, and then I layered that in my jar with some more of the crumble, and then on the top I added on some cacao nibs and finished with a strawberry, and that was so good, just exactly what I wanted after my main meal. And I'm a huge strawberry lover, if you can't already tell. And that is another edition of What I Eat in a Day. I really hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for Sunday's video. I'm going to be doing an update on my vegan story and a bit of a Q&A as well. But thank you so much for watching this one, and I will see you then. Bye!